Carl here from Wani, and today I'm stoked to be in the company of a musician who has had critical acclaim for over 20 years and holds the position of being one of the most highly regarded songwriters and guitarists in the metal world. With me today is none other than Opeth's own Mikael Akerfeldt. Mikael, thank you so much for your time this morning once again, man.
It's my pleasure.
So, a couple of months ago, you guys announced the upcoming release of your 13th observation, In Cauda Venenum, along with the record's leading single, Heart in Hand, and both are just stunning, man. So, I wanted to start off by saying congratulations to you and the guys, first of all.
Oh, thank you.
My pleasure, man.
Yeah.
So, the title, if I'm not mistaken, translates to The Worst Is Yet to Come. Is that correct?
Yeah, you could say that. It's a reference to... I don't know who coined that thing, which was good. I didn't want a reference to a record title because then I have to defend a physical person. You know? So I found this phrase somewhere, and there was no reference point. Meaning, and it's often referring to a scorpion with the poison is in the tail. Like what you said, the worst is yet to come, like something vicious, nasty, or negative coming at the end, if you know what I mean. So that was something that was, I don't know. The initial reason, to be perfectly honest with you, why I picked that title was because it sounded cool.
I love it.
That's very important still, you know, like you want those cool, like Blackout, you know, like you want those cool titles, you know. But it was also weird in many ways because it fitted with the artwork that we already had, and also the whole idea of, or really how I perceive songwriting for a new record these days, because I treat every record as it's the last record. I'm not saying this is the last record for us, but it could be. You know, you never know. And it's something I do just to kind of stay on top of my game. I don't want to let anything half-assed slip through the net, so to speak. And we also had in the artwork we're portraying the band as a 5-headed scorpion demon type thing. That was already there before I even found that title, you know. And it's also if you see in the sleeve, there's a house with us in it. And if you zoom out from that picture of the sleeve, you will see that the house is standing on a demon's tongue, ready to be swallowed, you know. Which actually I could find in retrospect, after I could find references to that title. But the short answer, if I hadn't been thinking about it, would be, well, it sounds cool.
Man, it is a cool title. That's an awesome approach, and I love the idea for the artwork, so I'm stoked for it already.
Thank you.
And I remember reading an interview with yourself, which to be honest, I found pretty funny. You were loosely citing a conversation you'd had with, I think, your manager, who encouraged you to take a well-deserved break, but directly followed up by attempting to solicit you guys to agree to a 2019 release, to which you kind of said, no, but if it makes you feel better, sure, but no. And now, Mikael, we have one, and no one is complaining, but what was it that served you in the last few years that now gifts us with that 2019 release?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, but I guess I'm, you know, I get comfortable back home. Like, we went off tour for what was the Sorceress World Tour, if you will, 2007, end of 2017, and it was Christmas time and all that stuff, holidays, and I was happy. Finally, I can get some rest. And I like what you said, I've been pitching this idea that I'm gonna go on a sabbatical of sorts and just do nothing, but I ended up in the studio anyways, just out of, I wouldn't say boredom, but I was like, you know, I wanted to see if, firstly I wanted to see if I could still remember how to record on those devices that I have, just to check that everything worked. And then lo and behold, I started writing music, and it was so fun. I was so immersed in it that I was progressing quickly, and all of a sudden I had a couple of songs, and once the managers, everybody started asking, like, how's it going? What are you doing? You know, are you on a sabbatical? I'm like, no, actually, I've been writing a couple of songs, you know. So I guess it was leisure time for me. Writing music is something I do for pleasure. It's and that's a great thing, because I also been pushed in previous years. I've been pushed into writing because we're supposed to keep the momentum going and all that stuff. That's fine. That can work for me too. But this time I wrote music strictly out of wanting to write music.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and eventually when I had the idea of singing in Swedish, that kind of catapulted me into the next level of songwriting. So I was really working for a long time, and soon enough I played some songs to the other guys in the band, and they were like, wow, when are we going to record it? You know,
That's
we're
cool.
on the rap base again.
And speaking of, you touched on it there, because I did want to ask you, you know, how did the decision to record the album in both English and Swedish come about? And if this kind of goes well, is this something you might continue doing going forward?
No, I don't think it's a new standard for us, to be honest. I guess I would prefer to keep it simple for the next release. I mean, the bilingual idea was something that I came up with in the middle of the songwriting process, because the original version is the Swedish version. That was the original plan.
Cool.
And for a while, that was the only plan. It was only going to be a Swedish version, and that's it. But as I progressed with the songwriting, I was really happy with the songs. And I was also getting a bit anxious whether people are going to pass on this record just because it's in a language that most of our fans wouldn't understand. And then I was like, maybe it's good for this record to do an English version as well, because I wanted people to hear it. I didn't want anything to be in the way of people checking it out. And that's from personal experience, because I had problems with music in the past when I was younger. I kind of refused to listen to rock music that was in a different language myself, and luckily I kind of overcome that barrier since, and by doing that I obviously discovered shitloads of fantastic music with lyrics that I can't understand, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
but I did this out of I was chicken shit, basically.
Dude, no, I think your approach is awesome.
Yeah, but the main version is the Swedish version, and the English version is a supplementary version. If you want to hear it, it's great, but the main version is Swedish. And if you start with the English version, I'm pretty sure that's going to be your personal favorite. It all depends on where you start, but if you want like an advice from the horse's mouth, the Swedish version is where to start.
Cool, man. Thank you for that. And like, I want to get into the record in depth now as well. But it's when I'm just talking to you here, it sounds like you had a really, really good time writing this record. And like, because you've said before that, you know, your writing process has been kind of romanticized, when really it's just kind of cozy. It's just you sitting there, and ideas could be 2 days apart or 6 months apart. It doesn't particularly faze you as long as there's progress. This time around, did that follow suit, or was it a lot more fluid, where, you know, ideas coming a lot more regularly?
Yeah, I couldn't stop writing this time. It was, I don't know, I had kind of opened a door or something. Like, it was, you know, we've been around for a long time, and there's been times in our musical career, if you will, where I've been kind of struggling to come up with a concept or an idea what I should do. And it's very, for me, in the initial phases of writing, that I have some type of an idea. I don't necessarily have to stick to the idea in the end. But I need something to set me off, so to speak. And this time it was the Swedish language thing that set me off. And I'm writing so much that we couldn't fit everything onto the record, you know. So we had that luxury problem where we have 3 bonus tracks, which are great. I love those songs, you know. I just couldn't find a place for them on the record. And the record is the longest record that we have done.
Wow.
On top of that, there's 3 more songs, which basically means 6 more songs because they're in 2 languages. So I couldn't stop. I didn't want to stop writing for a few reasons, because I enjoyed it so much, and also because once I stop and deliver, there's gonna be press trips, there's gonna be tours and all that stuff that I enjoy less than writing music, you know.
Sure.
So so that was it. But mostly because I enjoyed it and I felt I had more to give. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like once I had roughly an hour and a half of material, I'm like, shit, you know, I'm going to present, you know, this is going to be a problem for me because they're all great. I love all the songs. But I didn't want to put out a record that's an hour and a half long. If
sure.
Not a triple vinyl, you know, that's a bit much to muster to most people. So I didn't want that for some reason, you know, and I just stopped when I felt, okay, I have the first song, I have the last song, and I have shitloads of good stuff in between. I guess we have an album, so I'll stop now.
Yeah. That's cool, man. And I know you've got a bit of a precarious relationship with touring, but do you think when you go out this time, have you thought about how you're going to perform it? Like, are you going to sing in Swedish or English or a combination of both?
It will be, I mean, the new songs, we are more likely to do the Swedish versions.
Cool.
Because they are the main versions, but you know, like then we have the older songs that we're gonna play. But touring, approach it with a little bit of dread because it means time away from my kids and my girlfriend and from home and all that stuff. And I was talking because Mendes is here in Dusseldorf with me doing press together, and we had breakfast and we talked about, because he also, like me, had some type of a problematic relation with what we do. Mm-hmm. He also had children, and you get panic attacks. And we were like, what's the good part of being in a band? You know, it's when the five of us are together in a room and there's no one else. Mm. Or when the five of us are on a stage and there's no one else. Well, there's a crowd of 1,000 people, but on stage is the five of us. Mm-hmm. After the show, when we talk through what happened on stage, it's the five of us talking. Those are brilliant moments when you're almost like it's, you know, like many bands will say, it's a family affair almost, you know. But then there is the constant traveling and the airports and the hotels and all that stuff, which is romanticized by fans, but hated by the people who have to endure those things. And everybody in our band, I would say, hates or dislikes a lot of the things that comes with being a touring band. Mm-hmm. There's so much traveling, and people, like downstairs in this hotel where we're staying now, there's a fucking makeup conference. There's packed with women, of course, you know, and they're all dressed up in their nice clothes, and they're made up, they look perfect, and they're sitting at the breakfast, and they think it's fun. They think it's amazing with the buffet of assorted meats and cheese and all that stuff, and we're just like, oh my god, way, you know, from this pain, you know. But so it's very different. It's a double-edged sword, really, to be in a touring band. You know, I mean, the musical aspect, the creative aspect, it's I can't liken it to anything else. It's fantastic. I love it so much. You know, it's really who I am. And being on stage, I can stretch it to something that I love doing. But it's everything surrounding touring that I just can't get my head around it. I just don't like it.
That's fair enough, man. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. I really appreciate it. And to talk a little bit more about the record, you know, when I listen to this new record, and by all means, correct me if you disagree, but I can't help but think about some of the records you listed among your favourite live records. Like, I'm from Dublin, so our own Thin Lizzy's Live and Dangerous, and then you've got Deep Purple's Made in Japan, Maiden's Live After Death, and so on. And this record, of course, it's technical in parts and stuff, but it also feels very organic and human and even live in parts. Would you agree with this assessment, or am I totally off the money here?
No, that makes me happy. I mean, we still work. I mean, we many bands today, they record their parts at home and then they send files over the Dropbox or something like that, and then somebody pieces it together and they send it off to some guy who's going to mix it. But we record it in an old-fashioned way. Like, we go into the studio with an engineer that we like, in the studio that we like, and we work together. Everybody's there all the time, working together. So, you know, the word, to use words as organic and natural and human, I mean, it's romanticizing a band. It's romanticizing a band, and it sounds good to say those things, but we really do work in those ways. I mean,
exactly.
You don't have ulterior motive. We don't have a different agenda. We don't have like world domination plans. We don't have like, oh, this is going to go really well on the Total Rock radio. You know, it's like a bubble, so to speak, where we do what we know what to do. You know, like we do what we do best, so to speak. And keeping it real, like we do in those situations, it's what really makes the band stand apart from many other bands, I think.
I agree.
It's one of our strengths, I think. You know, so it's very, you know, it's very non-contrived. It's just we sit in the studio and record, and everybody's prepared, and we come together. We're friends, so everybody's kind of supporting one another. You know, do another take, and you know, that was great, and you know, like family. I guess it's really something that we enjoy doing, and everybody's on the same page. I guess that's it's nice. It's really hard to explain without making it sound a bit silly. But
not at all, man.
You'd have to be there. It's very relaxed. I mean, if you would be in the studio with us recording, you would fucking laugh until your tears running down your face. You'd
I've
have a
heard
great
that
time.
about you. I love it, man. Just to continue though, I hear a lot of synth and strings on this album, and you know that makes it one hell of a really, really cool journey for me. Anyway, I think it would be, you know, I think it would be cool to kind of more synth driven and strings driven than guitar driven. Would this be fair to say this time around?
I guess so. I mean, we started out being a guitar based band, and I mean we are still a guitar based band, but with the kind of addition of keyboards that we ended around around Damnation, I guess. We always had keyboards on the songs, and I mean, that much to the frustration of Fredrik, our lead guitar player, because it's more guitars, you know. And I'm like, there's more than guitars, you know. I don't, even if that's my instrument, you know, I don't really approach music thinking of my instrument. I approach it as a bigger picture, and it doesn't matter like. I think it was Fenris from Dark Throne who said something along the lines like, when you mix the record, you have to take one for the team.
I like that.
Yeah, which I really liked. And to have those perfect, crystal clear sounding productions where you hear everything, it doesn't necessarily mean it's better, if you know what I mean. So in some parts, you're going to have, like, if you start listening to one instrument, you're going to be doing yourself a disfavor, if that's the correct word. You know,
okay.
You have to listen to the whole thing without focusing in on one instrument. I think, especially on this record where there's so much going on. With it's a 22 or 3 piece string section playing on many of the songs. You know, and there's the keyboards, the mellotrons, the Hammond organs, the grand piano, there's the electric piano, the Moog, there's 2 guitars, acoustic guitars, there's lead guitars, there's bass, there's shitloads of vocal harmonies, and that kind of stuff. So it's easier to say if a guitar if a record is guitar based, because that's the standards in heavy rock music. So nobody's saying that it's a harmony vocal based record, because nobody really zooms in on those types of parts. But
right.
There's so much on this album that it's impossible to say that it's based around one instrument.
Cool, man. Thank you so much for that. I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I could talk to you about this record and other things all day, but I'm going to leave you with this, my friend, which is a question I had almost specifically for you, because I would align with the concept that, you know, a great musician has nothing to do with ability, but I feel like you're someone who has that rare marriage of, you know, being great technically proficient musician, but a great songwriter. And I would view your catalogue as a testament to you showing, you know, very little concern for musical boundaries. You've explored so much in your music career, and it makes me wonder, you know, when you take into consideration how long you've been writing, recording, collaborating, and so on, has music been, you know, maybe for lack of a better word, demystified for you, or does it still evoke something deeper in you?
Very good question. I mean, music is not demystified. Music is a big mystery to me, both good and bad. I mean, I listen to what the squalor on the radio sometimes. I actually switched radio channel because I can't listen to music on the radio. So now I'm just listening to people talking on the radio. So the new music is a mystery to me because it's so fucking shallow.
I agree.
And so fucking directed towards mass consumption and has to be. It's almost like elevator music, like easy listening music that people should understand right away. It shouldn't take an effort. So it's kind of reflecting on this day and age where everything is achieved and you can get everything so quickly. Mm-hmm. There's no need to wait for anything. And when people have to wait for something, they get fucking irritated and stressed out, and they're not used to it because most of the things that you need, you can get it right away. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm kind of going against, or we collectively going against that idea that everything is not instantly gratifying. You know, like if you want to really if you really want to understand something, you have to immerse yourself. And that's the thing with this band. I mean, you're not going to get it right away. And yeah, we're probably going to lose a lot of fans because it's not instantly gratifying. They don't instantly get rewarded for their time, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But I still value, and of course I'm going to say that, and people kind of criticize me for being too old school and always talking about the golden era of music. But there's so much, I don't know, substance in older music to me. There's more of a difference between the bands and the artists. There's more of a freedom between many of the bands and artists who wrote music back in the day and what it is today. It seems new music to me. I'm not saying all new music, but when I come across new music, it seems so calculated to me, which is something I find very unsexy and very... I get nervous. I get anxious when it's too clear what the musicians want to achieve. Mm-hmm. If you know what I mean. And in most cases, it's world domination. That's what people want. You know, mm-hmm. They want to get things and that kind of stuff. Not just in music, but with everything. Which is why we have a society where influencers and YouTubers are superstars, and they just sit around in front of a camera eating a bar of chocolate, saying what they think about it. Which I find it's so far away from my idea of culture, if you know what I mean.
I do, and I agree.
That's a mystery to me, but the beautiful mystery is discovering art, culture, and whatever that is not so clear. That it's not so, you don't have to put it right on the tip of the nose. This is what you have. I mean, there's so much art, music, and all sorts of culture that needs for you to think for yourself, mm-hmm. as being told what to feel. You know, totally. And that's something that I guess I try to hone in on a little bit with our music. It's like what you said. I mean, boundaries is a filthy, filthy word, mm-hmm. dirty word to me, the culture. And not something I want to be connected with. That, you know, like most bands would say, yeah, we don't have boundaries. But most bands also want to sell records and be you know, still be a popular band. And the best kind of business idea is to give the fans what they want, I guess. That's a good business idea, but we're not entrepreneurs. We're just simple people who love music a bit too much for our own good, I guess.
That's a beautiful way to wrap it up, man. Mikael, it's taking all my willpower not to continue down this rabbit hole with you, but I know you've got a busy morning ahead. It's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to talk to you, and I really look forward to catching you guys when you make your way over to Dublin later this year.
Yeah, we are. We are coming, yes, that's true.
Can't wait. Listen, thank you so much. The record is fantastic, and I wish you and the guys nothing but the best for the rest of the year and beyond, my friend.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Have yourself a great day, Mikael.
Cheers. Take care.